How's everyone doing?
Having a good time?
Hanging in there? Doing okay? Cool. We'll try to keep it fresh. We'll move it along. Definitely, first of all, just thanks to our customers and Nimble customers who come by the booth to say hello, shake our hands. It's always great to see customers. I know I can vouch for the fact that this has got to be the only company I've worked at where we've had pretty much like almost 100% happy customers seeking us out of these conferences, and it's just there's nothing just. There's no better pat in the back.
Nothing makes you feel better than people coming up to you and saying, we love
God,
your stuff.
That's really good. Okay, so we're going to try not to let you down here. Okay, so the whole purpose of this presentation is really to talk about what we're doing with Zerto, Nimble Storage and Zerto, cloud solutions, and then specifically the whole topic here is the whole idea of protecting your VMs with cloud using Nimble and Zerto. And do a quick introduction. My name is Mike Harding with a solution and product team out of San Jose. And
Janine Walter, Senior Technical Marketing,
cool.
Data Protection.
Yep. And so we'll tag team. So once again, we'll try, hopefully that kind of help keep it interesting. It's always fun being the talk after lunch, which is still better than the talk right before drinks. You don't want that one. That's like the worst slot. So
yeah. Well, of course, then this is right after food coma time.
I was gonna say
you have a big heavy lunch.
You
and
pick
you
your poison.
Come in here and I get in at 1 o'clock in the morning, so I might fall asleep too.
You're in a regular
so we'll
coma.
try to keep you entertained.
All right, you just have a travel coma. Okay, good. So what I'll do is I'll start off really talking about who we are and what's new with us in terms of Nimble. And like I said, thanks again for folks who've known us for a while. You probably also know that we're now part of the HP Hewlett-Packard Enterprises. So we're an HPE company. The deal just closed. We're actually still in the process of becoming employees. Kind of fun. So it actually, it clearly is a better together story. I'm not just saying that. What we're seeing so far really seems to validate that. There are a few things, though, that each company brings to the table. So I think it's worth just kind of looking at it in an image. So folks who know us know that we've really been known as being just a very easy company to partner with, to be a customer of. We have a very high Net Promoter Score. We were just at a conference last week, and the partner, bless them, they're bragging about the fact they had an NPS of 73.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. So we've been, which is cool. That's a great score. We've been doing 85 for a while. So we're just but we're going to take that for granted. The other thing we bring to the table is Nimble. A number of years ago was really the innovator in hybrid flash. So we brought that innovation to the table, and we've since expanded to all flash. And then the third thing is really these relationships. So as a company, even though we're relatively small versus an HP, we actually had alliances with all these leading technology providers for a while. So that's really not new to us. What HP brings to the table, scale. So it's still a big company, even after spinning off a couple businesses just recently. There's still $28 billion total. So that gives us some scale. HP as well, number one in a couple of storage-related markets and servers. Clearly, been doing that for a while, and they bring us reach. And so hopefully, in some cases, for resellers out there, that'll be good news for you. If you're already an HP reseller, you'll be able to get the Nimble products in that price list starting June. And for customers, it just means that we can, deliver replacements or support you anywhere in the globe now. So any continent, anywhere, any country. So that's all good news. That's the Together's better story. And so what makes us different? And so we had a number of customers, or prospects actually, people coming who didn't know, what makes you different than other storage providers? So really, the single big thing really is InfoSight. So InfoSight, it's predictive analytics, and it's the most simplest. The concept is something like a Nest thermostat, the way you can bring intelligence to a device that up to this time really just kind of did something. Our founders did this pretty early on, like 6 years ago, really got the InfoSight capability going in Nimble, the Nimble products, by instrumenting both the hardware as well as the OS, and creating a system that really was throwing off billions of sensor data points on a regular basis, bring them back to a centralized database, cloud-based, but central off-site database, being able to analyze all this data together and using it then to look for patterns. And the whole idea being then to predict problems in your system. So not just monitoring, let you know when something happened, but being able to now look at data sets and look for relations where something is going to predict a drive failure or some other system failure. And the cool thing is they had the foresight then to build the system so that it looked beyond just the storage. And so we expanded the capability. We have an extension called VM Vision, and part of our roadmap is to continue on that path as well. But so along with the depth of data, 6 years worth of data, The breadth now is cross-stack, so we're able to see information up through from storage, network, server up to the VM, or down, depending on how you're looking at it, your perspective. But the cool thing, though, is, and we've all both witnessed this, where it'll be, InfoSight will throw off an error or some sort of alert to a customer or a reseller, and it'll have something to do with their VM, just or some VM configuration or something like that. Now, the problem that they're experiencing is that they've got backup jobs failing, but they really can't connect the dots. But the system's done it, let them know that, hey, it's a bad VM configuration. You fix that, then your backup jobs will continue to run. And that's actually kind of a cool thing. So it's something that can either be set up for an end customer, or if you're a reseller, you can be using it within a managed environment to allow you to see what's going on and be able to be very proactive in keeping your customers up and running. So that actually has been a real great success story. And probably the worst thing I've ever heard about this is that someone installed Nimble Array a few years ago, and it's just worked so well they've never had to go back to it. That's like the worst thing I've ever heard. But the people who've used this love it. It's a great dashboard. And the other thing too, for like very highly virtualized environments, and this is a little more relevant at some of our other conferences, where people are using other tools like VROps or something that comes with your backup. We'll have customers who will use both, or resellers will use both. This gives them a view into from the array up, and then looking maybe from vSphere down.
Right. It's not mutually exclusive.
Exactly.
You
And
can
the cool
use
thing
this
is
tool
this,
with
and
others.
this is free. This comes with it, so it's not like
Right.
you're paying
No
any
licensing
licenses for this. So the breadth, the depth, global correlation. It's and this is actually kind of cool too. The vast majority of our customers, we have over 10,000 installed arrays these days, have their ports open, and the information's coming back to our data center. So we have a view across 10,000 systems now. Historically, 6 years worth of that. And so with that, it really allows us for, in essence, having very smart algorithms. And as new problems arise, the support model is that in essence, any new problem should only happen once. And then once you figure out what that problem was and what were the things leading up to it, you create an algorithm. In essence, add that to the system, and the next time we're going to automatically see that and alert affected customers. So that's the basics of InfoSight.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, so when you're doing patching, like we release obviously Nimble OS updates on a regular basis, and if we know that you're running SAP, for instance, and we know that patch A caused an issue with people who are running SAP, once we know that, we'll actually proactively alert you and tell you not to upgrade to that patch.
Right. It's called blacklisting. Right.
In fact, you can't even download it. It's removed from your ability to get it.
Okay, so quickly about this, it's not all supposed to be about us, it's supposed to be about what we're doing with Zerto, but
we get excited.
That's good, we wouldn't have enough to say. But these are just the key benefits that come from InfoSight. Once again, when someone asks the question, what makes Nimble Storage special? It's InfoSight, and the key benefits are, about 9 out of 10, so 86% of problems are automatically detected and resolved. And so because of that, we really don't staff what you consider tier 1 or tier 2 support people. So if you really have to call us up, you're going to go right to a tier 3 support engineer. We're currently, and this is measured, we're currently seeing measured 6 nines of availability across that install base of over 10,000 systems. So it's actually measured statistics. We can show you that data. And then, as I said, the cases, 54% of cases are outside of storage. So that's just speaking to that, the telemetry that is going really with a view up the stack. So we're just showing that a lot of the problems that we, in essence, are detecting really don't have anything to do with the storage array. It's really stuff further up that we know it's going to have an impact to your applications. That's why we want to let you know about it. So that's InfoSight. Multicloud Flash Fabric, just to kind of tick this off. I mean, this is just the concept that we have that really speaks to the idea that with Nimble, there's one OS. It really spans our flash arrays, our configured environment, our converged validated solution environments, as well as the new stuff we're doing with cloud and multi-cloud capabilities. And so the advantage there for you is it's really one system, in essence, you need to learn, and that's going to carry you through all our different products and solutions. It encompasses aspects of management, scale out, and we really kind of try to keep it simple for you as users and people who manage our systems. And then another little conceptual marketing slide, I apologize, but just the idea of just marrying the multi-cloud with Predictive, Nimble Predictive Cloud platform. So enough said there. Unless I missed anything else for setup?
Sounds
okay,
good.
well, let's talk about the cool stuff then.
All right, so I'm going to talk about, now you heard a little bit about who we are and what we do and who Nimble is. How many of you already know who we are? Oh, wow. Okay. So we probably could have skipped all that, right?
Sorry.
Okay. Well, that's all right. It's fun anyway. We like talking about how great we are. So anyway, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we bring to the table with Zerto, right? So one of the things that we'll start with, first of all, business continuity and disaster recovery is kind of near and dear to my heart. For 15 years, that's what I did. I was a disaster recovery consultant. Lived on the road 37 weeks a year, traveling, doing DR tests for my customers. And it's always really entertaining to walk into a customer site, and most of my customers were Fortune 500 or higher, and say, okay, we're going to run your DR test. Where is it? What's your plan? When was the last time you ran this? What was your success rate? And they look at me like, DR plan? Yeah, so I don't have one of those. And being a storage administrator and a backup administrator before I was doing that, I remember being in that position where we were standing downstairs in the data center, and there was a flood in the upstairs bathroom, and it was like a cascade of water shooting down the stairs and heading right for the data center, and it wasn't a sealed data center, and we were in the basement. Good move. And our CIO coming down to me and like, so what's your plan here? And I was like, well, my plan is to go home and update my resume. So not probably what he wanted to hear, but the fact that we had nothing offsite and we had nothing like Zerto at the time to actually replicate our data was the first inkling that we had a problem, right? And we produced animal feed and basically shut down everything if we couldn't get the business up and running again. So you can understand where business continuity becomes more than just disaster recovery, right? You have to be able to get up and running, not just fail over, but get up and running as fast as possible. So basically, if you're already using Zerto, you really don't need me to kind of talk to you about how Zerto works. But kind of one of the things I wanted to mention here, and the reason I brought this slide in, was to talk about the value prop that Nimble brings to this. And the fact that we have lots of different opportunities for you, whether it be all flash or hybrid adaptive flash, we bring performance into this. So if you want to be able to put your repositories, your journaling information on Nimble, we're going to enable you then to get that data back as fast as possible, right? So anytime you're talking about disaster recovery and being able to recover, speed becomes important, right? I mean, if I can remember the days where, restoring from tape, if you got the file back in an hour or so, that was pretty awesome, right? Now we're talking about, I can't be down for more than 15 seconds. I need to be able to fail over right away. I need this back up and running again, and there is no ability to have any downtime anymore. And that's really where Nimble comes into play here. So when you put your Zerto data on a Nimble storage array, that's where we're going to give you the bang for buck and the performance qualities and capabilities that you need to keep your business up and running. So just some things we talk about here for key opportunities with Zerto and Nimble. Like I was just saying, you give yourself a business continuity, disaster recovery out into the cloud as well. And we're going to talk about a new product that we have called Nimble Cloud Volumes, and I'll show you a quick little demo about that. And then basically, like I was telling you, since we have a full line of products at this point, you can put that on all flash. You can put it on adaptive flash. You can really determine your SLA based on performance and based on price, right? So you could have gold tiered where that stuff you can never be down, and then you can talk about a silver tier and a bronze tier, and you can base those SLAs and based on price and performance, how quickly you have to get the data back, where it needs to be. Does it need to be in the cloud? Does it need to be on-prem, off-prem, in your DR center, wherever the case may be.
All right.
I skipped your first slide, sorry.
That's okay. All right. Thank you. So I'll spend a little more time on this. This is actually a new product we have, and then I'll connect the dots as to where this fits in. So, so the secondary flash array, so if customers are familiar with us, probably know that we initially came out with the adaptive flash or hybrid flash, and then following that, more recently, all flash. And so we had products that really delivered decent performance, good blend of economics and performance, and then all performance, right? All IOPS with all flash. But the interesting thing was and I joined the company about a year ago, and I can remember just starting hearing inklings of this, is that we had a growing number of customers that were using our arrays, both hybrid as well, in some cases all flash arrays, for backup, as backup targets. Initially, I was just like, I don't see what the problem is. It sounds great, right? Let's use it for anything. I don't
Yeah,
care.
we'll sell you an all-flash for a backup repository if you want.
Hook coffee makers up to them. It's fine with me. Then I obviously looked into it and realized, well, there clearly are products that are just more optimal for doing that. And then of course the CEO said, go out there and do something about this. So so Suresh gave us some marching orders to go in, and the idea of developing a product that would be specific to optimally serve a need for as like backup and secondary storage. So what we did is we spent some time to then talk with customers. So we went through customers actually, and also resellers and analysts as well. But once we started talking to customers specifically to ask, what are the problems that you're having, and why in essence are you using hybrid flash for backup, we learned a few different things. So like really 3 problems came to the forefront. One was, traditional challenges around slow backup, backup windows. We thought we kind of solved that with snapshots. But they still had this challenge, and in some cases becoming more of an acute challenge, to be able to restore data quickly. And some of it had to do with some of the RTO challenges and things you talked about, companies becoming more real time, that sort of thing. But that was something new. So they had devices that allow them to back up lots of data, even do that in a very optimal way, but then not to be able to get to it quickly. That was a new and growing challenge for some of our customers. The other one had to do with the data being on the backup device. And this is also one of those things too, where it's like, well, it's a backup device. It's supposed to be architected for a lot of ingress, and you get the data on there, and what's the problem? And so, but there are customers who start recognizing that, hey, there's a lot of backup data there. They'll be able to use it for something else. I have this one device that just has a bunch of trapped data on it. Can that be resolved? And also, can you do it without having to wait for this very long restore? So in essence, is there a better way to solve that problem? And the third one really had to do with this whole idea of having these silos. And it's kind of related to number 2. We had some customers that are just smaller. They want to just be very streamlined. They weren't maintaining a lot of specialized expertise, storage guys versus network guys versus whatever, some smaller shops. But even like some larger shops, and I kind of discovered this in my career, sometimes it's the largest companies that actually have the best handle on their costs. And so some of these guys really just want to be very optimal in terms of their IT costs, space utilization, power required to manage the amount of equipment they have, and also just the labor efficiency of having to maintain lots of different types of systems. That was a problem for some customers as well. So put these 3 things together and realize that this actually, it does present some new problems that really bring you outside the world of particularly like specialized backup devices, purpose-built backup appliances, things like that. So we took that learning. We also, now I have a slide in here, also spoke with our analysts. One of them is IDC, right here in Framingham. In this case, I had a conversation with Liz Connor. If you don't know Liz, you probably know her work. She is typically behind the trackers that are used for a lot of the press releases that come out. Hey, EMC's down 3%, HPE's up 3%, that sort of stuff. So that's Liz's work. So this is just a quote she shared in a conversation. I jotted it down. A lot of people want to do dev tests or something of value with their backup data instead of having it just sit there, in the case of the event of disaster. So that makes a lot of sense. And then Gartner, another analyst we work with, they actually published this in the last Magic Quadrant, and they actually put a number on it. They're saying that almost a third of companies are going to want to leverage the backup for more than just operational recovery, up from like 1 out of 10 today. So between customers, resellers, and analysts, we felt like we definitely had a validated bead on the product that we wanted to deliver. And so what we ended up doing is brought to market what we call the secondary flash array, the Nimble SF series. So if you're familiar with like our CS series, hybrid flash, in essence, we kind of built it on that platform. It's hybrid flash. The idea, though, now is you use the flash performance to enable instant restores and recovery, so you're able to get to the data very quickly. It's capacity optimized. So what we did was whereas the CS we currently just only had compression, the engineers figured out how to put dedupe as well now on a hybrid flash array and be able to manage that in that environment. And the dedupe we're seeing, I don't think we have any slides to talk about this, but we can drill into it if you have questions. Typically around 12x or more, and it's all really dependent upon how you're using the system. We expect the customers to be kind of consistent to what we're seeing now. So it's kind of a mix of inactive and active use. Mm-hmm. So, if you're using it purely for backup and it was, daily incrementals, weekly full backups over the course of like 12 plus weeks, you'd probably be seeing more like 18 or 20x dedupe, which kind of puts into the realm of like a typical backup appliance. But we're seeing is the customers actually using this for a mix of things. So it's backup as well as doing something with the data. So that's why we're kind of trying to also under-promise and over-deliver. So we're just saying it's like 12x or so, because as I said, they're doing something active with the data.
Yeah, results may vary.
Always will. There you go. Thank you, lawyer. And then the whole idea of convergence. And so because of this, as I said, one of the drivers customers are getting to is not having to bring on a separate siloed device just to do this one specialized thing. Customers are able to converge either use in their primary site, the production site, or in their backup site using one of these for one or more things, backup and maybe test dev, or DR target or test dev or something else on the secondary site. So allowing to converge the footprint, potentially more uses on one device. Specifically about what people are doing with it. So as I said, backup, definitely using it as a backup target, and related use. So backup on the primary site, maybe DR target, or vice versa on the other side, archiving. But then this whole area of secondary storage usage. So making clones of the backup data for dev test, QA, troubleshooting, another use, patch testing. We've heard a lot of different things people want to do with the backup data itself. Or actually just carving out a volume and using resources on the system for other things like analytics or reporting, some other capability. Because the cool thing about this is because it's really built in the flash, on a hybrid flash platform, you have IOPS. So you actually have the performance so you can do something else with it, and you have the ability to access the data.
Yep. So it's dedupe with IOPS.
Yep. So once again, able to simplify. And as I said, some customers really just want to be able to simplify their lives, be able to standardize on one device, primary to secondary and beyond. So we deliver that capability. The other thing we're doing too is spending time with backup software vendors as well in order to kind of craft solutions. In some cases, actually doing testing, validation of those solutions, and so you can actually have really more of a converged, simplified solution as well around backup use. And let's see, so a little more specifics. And actually, if you have any questions, we can answer them. Doing sort of deep dive at the table. But just at a high-level view, we rolled out two models, the SF100 and the SF300. What they have in common are the networking. So they're both block devices supporting iSCSI or fiber channel. They both also deliver dedupe, as I said. It's like about 12 to 1 is what we're seeing. And then they both, even though I didn't put it on here, is they both have all of the array-based capabilities. So the things people who know Nimble, those capabilities that you're used to, you actually also get this on the SF series. So it's snapshots, replication, cloning, InfoSight, as I mentioned.
Same Nimble OS.
RAID.
You'll be able to group them, cluster group.
Yep.
Yes.
Encryption.
It's going to be the same as the CS.
So you can do dual pairs.
And you can have up to 2 expansion shelves on this too.
Yep. Okay. So the things that differ.
One more.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yes. Question. We actually should repeat the question. So number of ports, I think
sorry.
is what it was.
Yeah.
You said dual pairs. Yep.
Can you convert a CS to an SF? No.
That's a great question, though.
You can upgrade. So if you buy an SF, we're not going to allow them to do that. I mean, technically. Yeah, no, I'm not going there. No, you cannot do that. It's not a field update. You can't do that.
Right.
But if you buy an SF100 and you want more IOPS, you can go in the field from a 100 to a 300.
Yep. And there are specific reasons why the engineers want to keep this as a separate SKU and not just have it be a software upgrade. Because that was like my first thing. Like, why not just make the software upgrade?
There are very specific requirements on this. There's a new performance policy. We're very strict about minimum flash cache ratio. So there are things, and expansion shelves, we're limiting it to 2. So there are things in the product that are different than the CS series, and those are hard stop requirements. So we're not going to do field upgrades, and you can't go back and forth between CS and SF and vice versa.
Okay, cool. So things that are different, as you can see, in terms of capacity, performance, effective capacity, IOPS, it's actually double between the 100 and 300. So the 300 top out at 200 terabytes, usable capacity with the 12x dedupe, that's giving you, over 2 petabytes in a 4U footprint, so that's pretty good. And that's the IOPS up to 40K, and that, just put that in there just to kind of put it in perspective versus a CS. So if you're familiar with the CS, you're getting IOPS of over 100,000 potentially. So with this, there's no magic. It's like there's a trade-off here between capacity. So with the SF, you're getting more capacity, really makes it optimal for a backup target for use like in a Zerto environment. CS is really, and AF really more for IOPS.
And high performance, right? So
Yep.
yeah, you're looking at tier 1 production as opposed to secondary.
Then with this chart, there's really nothing else I could add to this that Janine hasn't pointed out, other than the fact, just pointing out that SF now, and the reason why we talked about the SF, took a little detour there, is really that SF as a platform really could fit within the Zerto scenario, whether it's in your production.
Well, I think the other point on this is that in most cases, you would never use a dedupe appliance to put any kind of Zerto data on, right? I mean, like if you did, you'd never get it back, right? I mean, being able to restore that off a dedupe appliance, you'd be suicidal to do that. The point that we're making on here is that you'll never, because this would be an RGE, resume generating event. The idea here is that there really is the performance available here that you could put Zerto data on this and not really lose anything. So 20,000, 40,000 IOPS, not only do you get the ability to dedupe all the data that's incoming continuously, nonstop, but you get the ability to actually run with this. Then do something with it. Put the journal logs on here. Put a repository on here. And use this for more than just a dumb device to store data and dedupe. That's kind of the idea behind this, is that, like I said, nobody in their right mind would use a dedupe appliance to put Zerto data on it and hope to recover it. But the idea here is the ability that we have that throughput, we have those IOPS to let you do that. And just as an example, we've been able to like run virtual labs, run instant VM recoveries, and input data all at the same time while running a test environment on the same machine with no impact to any of the things that are running. So this thing can handle it, it's fast enough, and then giving you the ability to do deduplication with it too, just gives you that much more bang for buck.
That's the demo you wish you could have done, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Restore the SQL Server. Yeah, okay. That's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. I've been pressed for time. I've been on the road nonstop, so I'm way too much coffee and bad food and chocolate, so I'm a little hyper.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'm not sure we need to say any more about this then.
That's
SFA could work really both primary, secondary. There are benefits of doing the Nimble SFA behind Nimble Primary. It doesn't have to work that way, especially when you have third-party software bridging things, but there are definitely advantage of more snapshot capacity, Nimble to Nimble, as well as Nimble Replication, Nimble to Nimble, using the array-based replication, which is granted volume level as opposed to VM level, but some customers see advantages there as well. All right.
Well, and they're not mutually exclusive.
And that's true.
So, all right, and so we did say we were going to talk about the cloud. So let's talk about that.
Exactly.
Yes, a little bit. So again, we're just kind of like a beginning here to lead you into what we're going to talk about when we talk about bringing Nimble into this whole equation too. So basically, just like we showed the slide before, with Nimble in here, we can have your Zerto data on the Nimble arrays here, whether it be a SF, AF, or a CS series, and the ability to then replicate out into the cloud, whether it be AWS or Azure. And we're going to talk about those two primarily, because we do actually have another product called Nimble Cloud Volumes, which we're going to talk about here, and how that can tie into working with Zerto and getting your data out into the cloud. So again, that's my segue into Nimble Cloud Volumes. Right now, Nimble Cloud Volumes only work with AWS and Azure. So those are your two choices. You can pick either one or both. They're not mutually exclusive in this case either. And a few things just as an introduction, and then I'll actually show you a short demo about it. But what this does is it actually brings Nimble Storage into the cloud. So what you can do is you can actually use the compute power of AWS or Azure and use the stability and enterprise-grade reliability of Nimble. So with Nimble, we give you the 6 nines of reliability, right, instead of the 1 in 500 failure that you can get in the cloud. Well, if you're getting 6 nines of availability with Nimble, that's no longer an issue. It's a really simple web GUI. You're going to see that when I show you the quick demo. All those things you love right now about Nimble, you'll get with Nimble Cloud Volumes, because you're actually running a Nimble array out in the cloud. That means you get, like I said, the 6 nines of availability. You get built-in data protection, so you get the ability to do snapshots, cloning, replication. All of that's included with it. And then also you have the ability to spin up clones from that. So just like you could do the snapshots and replication, you can actually clone things in the cloud as well and use it for dev test or analytics, whatever the case may be. And then you're only paying for the changed data, not full copies, because after we do the initial snapshot, we're only going to snapshot the changes after that. So like I said, simple and reliable. We have the integrated data protection. It's an easy on-ramp into the cloud. So if you've been thinking about going into the cloud and doing something with the cloud, this is kind of a lift and shift, easy way to kind of move your data into the cloud and start utilizing the cloud. We don't tie you into one. So if you're in AWS and you want to move to Azure, we can move it for you, move the data around for you. So there's no lock-in. And you'll also get, so just like before where we were talking about all the benefits that Mike went into about InfoSight, about Nimble Storage and the things it brings to it, all the performance and capabilities we have, you get that in the cloud too. So you'll actually have InfoSight in the cloud as well, which will give you the ability to do, to track usage, predict issues, problems, make recommendations, just like you would if it was on-prem. So like I was talking about here before, the ability to actually clone. So in this case, if we have 2 instances and we're in Azure and we have 2 instances of a database and we want to be able to spin up a clone of that and create a 3rd instance of that within NCV, we can do that all using just Nimble storage capabilities, doing a snapshot and then cloning it and spinning up that clone. Just like you would if the array was sitting in front of you. It doesn't really matter. And this would be, again, using the compute power of AWS or Azure. Let me build this out. So what we're showing here is the ability to utilize Zerto in connection with NCV, right? So I just talked to you about all those great things that NCV can do, but how does that tie into our ability to work with Zerto? Well, Zerto is going to give you the ability to replicate from the hypervisor level. So the entire VM can go into the cloud, so you can put it in, like I said, AWS or Azure. But what this lets you do then is you can actually take the storage behind that and move it to NCV. So what we'll allow you to do then is take all the data stores that you were running for that VM that might have been in AWS or in Azure and actually put it on an NCV, put it on a Nimble volume instead. And we give you that ability, which then gives you, like I said before, the ability to snapshot that, clone that, replicate it, whatever the case may be. And if you're in AWS and you want to move that to Azure, you can do that all within the NCV itself. Video?
Can I do it? Sure.
I'm not very good with PCs, so
right.
I'm a Mac person.
That's
so
your loss.
if I hose this up completely, I can blame Mike.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
So this is just a quick demo, kind of showing you some of the capabilities within. Oh, it's not displaying again.
Oops. Okay.
Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. So this is a quick demo just to kind of show you the interface to NCV and how easy it is to use. It's not very long, and it'll kind of give you the idea of how you can do a snapshot and restore from a snapshot all within the cloud. Well, why did it switch over?
I don't know. It has a mind of its own.
Whatever.
All right. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that's the interface into NCV. You can basically select whether it's going to be AWS or Azure, and then you'll log into your region, and you actually use your AWS credentials. So in this case, what he's doing is he's getting his VPC ID, so he's getting his credentials from AWS, and then he's going to paste them. So the one thing we don't have is you actually have to already have AWS credentials in order to use NCV, but you just log in with those, and then you can add a volume as simple as just 2 clicks. So he's just gathering the information that he needs, and then he's going to put it into NCV in order to link NCV and AWS. And then we'll actually, once you go in and decide how big the volume is and how many IOPS you want with it, it'll compute a price for you per month. So in this case, he's going to give it a volume name, and then we're going to give it a size. So I think the first time it's 11 gig. And then we have, just like the performance policies you have now in Nimble, same thing. And then you can also tell it, like the default IOPS is 300. And when you do that, you can then pick your protection plan as well. And the really cool thing about this is once you do this, so once you set this up and you select how many snapshots you want to keep, what IOPS you want, you can go in and then look at it. See, there you go. There's the new volume. It's just as easy as that to create it. If you want to change that, so you want to go back and now say, I want this to be 21 gig, and I want 1,000 IOPS, you can change it on the fly, and it'll change just like that and swap it out for you. And then it'll adjust the cost as well. So it does it all. It's all automated. It'll do just that quickly. It changed it to 1,000 IOPS and 21 gig. And then when you go back, you can then add snapshots. So in this case, we can add, just say, hey, I want to snapshot this volume. It'll go ahead and create a snapshot for you. And then you can add it, if you want to go ahead and do another snapshot, you can do that. You can delete the snapshot. If you want to roll back, so you want to restore from a snapshot, you can do that just as easily. So in this case, we'll add another snapshot. And again, you're only paying for the changes in the snapshot. You're not paying for another whole full, which is one of the downsides to snapshotting in the cloud. And you can also restore from that too. And then you can add another volume if you want. And then in this case, we're going to go ahead and then add it back into to an actual Windows host so that we can mount it and do something with it and actually start utilizing it. So here's where we're going to actually attach it to a Windows host. So it'll give us a command that will run on the Windows host to attach this volume, and the volume will show up just as if it would a normal iSCSI Windows volume from Nimble if you had this array sitting in your data center right now. That's how easy it is. And he's just going to go ahead and run the command. And the command is generated for you. So if you're looking over here, you can see disk 0. And after the command is run, you'll see a new 21 gig disk show up. Boom, just like that. And then he's going to format it, and we can start using the volume just that quickly. So it's really easy to use. It's really simple. It's the same, relatively similar interface. We just sort of stripped away a lot of the stuff that you have to use, go through the GUI. Not that the GUI is hard with Nimble, but you don't even really have to interact at all. All you need to do is tell it what size you want it to be, and then tell it how many IOPS you want, and we'll take care of the rest. I think that's about the end of it. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and
switch back.
Yeah. I'll let
Stop
you.
that. Do this. So be able to minimize it. Yeah.
Escape. Is that not working?
All of this.
Technical difficulties. Okay.
It's fine. Things are fine.
Yep.
Don't panic. Okay.
So we'll go back to.
There you go.
So we're just going to talk a little bit about some customers who are using both Nimble and Zerto and what they're doing with it. In this case, we actually have a customer that's pretty advanced setup here. They've got 2 DR sites, one local and one remote, and then they actually have 2 servers that are or 2 DR centers that are their super high availability, and that's what they're using Zerto between those 2. They're using CS5000 in both of the high availability centers that they're using Zerto with, and they actually have their performance data on there, all of their tier 1 applications, as well as the Zerto journaling logs and repository in there. The next one I will.
Island, we can talk. Actually, Island is out there.
Here.
They're here. It's great. So with Island, they're really our first reference customer for the secondary flash array, and they've been a partner of ours for a while and a customer of ours. But they really were attracted to the secondary flash array because with their with their model, really, it's about delivering very secure, performant, and in their case, really highly scalable DR as a service and related types of services like that. In this case, I highlighted the fact that they have a secure DRS with Zerto, branded solution out there, but they also use, as far as I know, they use our product as a backend for other ones as well. But you'll be able to get the availability of a Nimble hybrid flash array, the availability that's enabled through InfoSight, which we talked about already. The IOPS, but then also the economics, being able to get the dedupe. That was actually pretty compelling for them. So get all that, and now with dedupe, get a lot more data on the systems.
One other plug I'll make for us is that all the hands-on labs that are running off Nimble. So they're Island, and Island is running off Nimble arrays for all of that.
Good point. So anyway, yeah, so they were an early reference customer for this. But we actually have a number of other customers. So this is very specific to the SFA. There are like a number of other customers we did a little research on for this show. And we kind of dug through, spoke to some sales reps. I think there's some common threads. One is actually probably the one common thread is they're all a little different.
Yeah.
Right. So we have mixed environments.
It's cool. Yeah.
That's typically what we see with Zerto, replication to the cloud. They could be doing all sorts of stuff, using different backup software on site, heterogeneous mixed environments, that
You're
sort of thing.
so mixed. Some using Zerto on-site, on-prem, replicating to their
Right.
DR center,
Yep.
and then a mix of that as well as cloud
Right.
too.
With some of our other partners, it's pretty much, what it's going to be. Highly virtualized environment, they're using that, and it's kind of straightforward. So this one's a little mixed. So we just we
Yep.
selected a few at random where we had some information. I would like you want to kind of pick through these, talk to them.
Right. So this was an automotive wheel manufacturer, and they were using so SAP on SQL was absolutely flat out had to be available all the time, or like my example before when I worked for an animal feed company, the business stopped. It just stopped running completely. So they're using Zerto in this case in their production environment for SAP, and they're using it on Nimble. So they've got a couple of AF5000 in production, and then they're actually replicating to all their VMs to a CS300. So again, like Mike said earlier, that multi-cloud fabric is awesome because you can actually replicate to an adaptive array, which is pretty cool. It's a cost-saving benefit too.
This was, I know it's a fast-growing law firm. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering who this is, they were like in the Bay Area and started off as a small firm, but they kind of quickly became global.
Very
so I think
cool.
that's part of their challenge here.
Yep.
Scaling up quickly.
Hey, I like it. They got 2 AF7000s, and just like we were talking before, they actually have an older CS700, 2 of those as well as CS500s, and they're replicating their AF7000s to the CS700. So and using Zerto to balance that DR workload.
Right. Okay, video surveillance. Okay, and here's where we have Commvault. Actually, we see Commvault popping up a lot with Zerto as well.
Yeah, we do see a lot of our customers use traditional backup with Zerto, so they use Zerto for their BCDR.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I can't. Wrong teeth this morning.
There you go. But sometimes
For
just
their
the
business
tape.
continuity,
Right.
and then using
Legacy.
a backup product to do their traditional backup
Yep.
and meet business compliance with data offsite for X amount of years and things like that. So it's actually a really good combination, and they work really well together. So in this case, they were using Commvault as well as Zerto, and they decided to use Zerto instead of SRM and utilize Nimble Array for that. And we have one more.
Yep.
Cloud.
It's just a cloud service provider. I think they're using Zerto. I think this was kind of emblematic of a lot of the different CSPs that we have. But in this case, it kind of, whether it's island or even it's probably a smaller regional one, just had Zerto as a key part of their solution.
Yeah, we find a lot of service providers use Nimble because they love InfoSight. It just gives them so much information into their business. It really is a real insight into exactly what's going on within your business.
That's right. We got questions on that today, as a matter of fact. And
So
I
thanks
think
for
just
hanging out
sum
with
it
us.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like hitting the high points, so hopefully I know it was like a kind of a mix of a lot of different things. We talked about some new products of ours, secondary flash array, Nimble Cloud volumes, but you can see where they both kind of tie into different aspects of the solutions that we're delivering, with Zerto, and that our customers are out there deploying and running as well. Next steps would be just to come by the booth.
Yep.
We're
We'll be
here
here.
the rest of the show. We have our local folks as well here in the New England area who can work with you directly. And of course, if there's any product, I don't expect you can actually stump her, but if you were to do that, we also work with a lot of the product people back in San Jose, so we can get your any questions answered. But if you have any questions right now, now's a good time.
Yep. We'll put up one more here and give you our contact information. So my name is not hard to spell, but it's confusing. And there are, in a small company, which we were before we purchased by HPE, we had 2 Janines. So my poor friend Janine Delaney got a lot of emails, very technical, and she's not technical. So to prevent that, we just made it easy, and I gave myself an email alias. So,
Show off.
yeah.
Show off. Yeah. I just joined a year ago, so I'm Harding. But yeah, either way, we're just out at the table. You can come by.
Yes.
of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Nimble
We
built-in
still do
replication.
snapshot cloning, replication, all supported. InfoSight, all supported. None of that's changed. Our support model hasn't changed. None of that's.
Still strictly Nimble to Nimble.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
Yep. I mean, now with HP, we're looking to integrate their remote service. What is that called? RMC, I think it's called.
Yeah.
We're looking to
The
integrate with
serverless,
that,
yeah.
which also maybe give you fan out, which we don't have yet. So.
Is there still plans to go bring inline to the hybrid range?
Yes, that is still in plans, but it'll be different than the SF because the idea behind the dedupe on the AF and the CS is that it's not continuous, and at some point with X amount of volumes, it will stop deduplicating the data, whereas on the SF series, that will never happen.
Right.
Do you have APIs for doing backups, like for hard backups for some of the SQL or XP?
Yes, we could have that as an offline discussion, but yeah, for like RMAN and things like that, there are API calls into that. We don't make those readily available, but there are some PowerShell scripts that you can utilize that would allow you to take advantage of that.
Yep. Here we go.
To clarify, with the Nimble cloud volumes, you can actually, right now, Zerto actually replicates to an S3 bucket inside of replication. So you can actually replace the S3 bucket with the cloud volume, or the data is copied out of the S3 bucket and into.
It's copied out into the NCV volume.
So what happens during the recovery with Zerto? Does it actually, when you fail over to
Right.
AWS, is it pulling the data out of the S3 bucket or out of the cloud?
Out of the NCV. Yes. That literally just happened.
Just recently, that's right.
I mean, within like 2 days. Yeah.
Yep. It's
So
all
that's
new
why we talked about both of those because the SFA came out
May 11th,
11th,
yep,
and NCV was like yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure what day it is. So it was, I think it was Monday.
You're in Boston, so therefore it's Tuesday, right?
Yeah, right. Therefore, it is Tuesday.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, we'll be here, so if you think of anything else and you have other questions, feel free to come by and talk to us, buy us a beer. We're more talkative that way.
Yeah.
But we'll be around, so feel free
All right.
to reach out to us. If you want a demo or something, we'll be happy to do it. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your time.